hey, drop a super chat and I'll shout you out. I appreciate it. Let's get into this, man. Let's get into this. We're going to first start with the Trump administration just decided, which is awesome. They're going to shut down the funding for healthcare, federal dollars going into Minnesota for healthcare. I'm sorry, for childcare. They're going to shut it down, okay? And that just came out this morning.
This morning, a federal investigation into alleged daycare fraud in Minnesota is growing, and the Trump administration says it's halting all federal child care payments to the state.
We believe the state of Minnesota has allowed scammers and fake daycares to siphon millions of taxpayer dollars over the past decade.
Earlier this week, the Department of Homeland Security posting video of agents knocking on doors of more than 30 businesses around Minneapolis in an effort, it says, to root out fraud. Overnight, Minnesota's Democratic Governor Tim Walz saying President Trump was politicizing the issue to defund programs that help Minnesotans.
There's no children inside this building.
It all comes after this viral video racked up more than 100 million views online.
Now, I want to add a little balance to this because I love what Nick Shirley's actually doing, going out here and doing the work where that a lot of the local municipalities that get the money and distribute the money, they're supposed to be doing it, but Nick is actually doing it. Shout out to Nick. Kudos. Listen, you're a warrior.
Congratulations. Well done.
All right. Now, there was one or two videos I did see where the Somalians, the person who was either over the business or the manager of the daycare was actually talking to Nick and was discussing the fact that the children come in the evening for his establishment after hours. So I did understand that because if you lived in Atlanta or not Atlanta, Riverdale, which is south of Atlanta, or any of these type of smaller cities that is considered more blue collar than anything else, these late night evening daycares, they do provide a service. So, but I would have loved for him to go back in the evening and check on, is that true? But what I do understand, and I've seen them pay videos of them allegedly paying the parents, I guess, kickbacks, or whoever they had that brought the kids in, kickbacks for allowing them to go on the roster and to collect the money. Now, is that true? I don't know. Okay. This is in no way do we say all Somalians are like this. And I've heard arguments stating, hey, the Somalians in Minnesota have built a huge community, and Trump and some of the right are very upset with that it's an issue having to do with their nationality, their skin color, that they're Muslim. I would say the Muslim portion is probably the closest to the point. Yes, you're right. I do believe Trump is coming after them because of the ties to the Muslim Brotherhood that's already been established, okay? Allegedly. We're going to say allegedly. Yeah, allegedly been established to the Muslim Brotherhood. And I think he's doing the right thing because you guys want to say it's not that he's being Islamic phobic, that the White House is being Islamic phobic. Let's be straight up and be clear with this right now. Radical Islam has no place in the West. Islam tries its best to actually fit into the West. But the idea for Islam in fitting in is actually replacing the people that are there with their ideology and their belief. They did it in sub-Saharan Africa with African towns, cities, countries that Arabs came into during the Crusades, prior to the Crusades, after the Crusades, and converted a lot of those African countries either by the sword, converting over to Islam, or either tax. So the Islam has no credible history of actually fitting into a society that's not Islamic. I don't care what you guys have to say about it. It's a fact, and history has already put it in there. We're not saying that every Somalian immigrant is radical Islamic, but we do already see what's going on in Somalia, Somaliland. There are huge ties to the Muslim Brotherhood and to our radical Islamic factions. So to say that Trump is being Islamophobic because he's coming after Somalians who are Islamic, I would say no. He's being Islamic cautious, okay? And it's a level of caution, and it does need to be addressed because we live in a country where you're not chased down based on your religion, but when your religion says that the West is evil, that America needs to be brought under heels, when your congresswoman is taking meetings with ambassadors from Somalia, when they're doing secret meetings and saying that we're doing this because in the future we want to put her into the position where she can advocate for Somalia on a larger scale in the United States government. We know what's going on, okay? And the issue, I did have a comment. Oh, what about Jews that do the same thing in United States? And I'm going to talk about that because one thing we know about the Jewish faith and Jews that come here, yeah, they may do this and advocate for Israel. Understandable. They're not standing there with the Islamic flag, with the Israeli flag in front of the American flag, waving the Israeli flag and cautioning and asking all Jews to vote for them on the pretense of their ethnicity. They're actually waving the American flag to better America, for them to vote for them, to make America a better place, and to be advocates for their community, which we understand I don't think that's a crazy thing, especially if I saw someone from my hood, from when I grew up in Philadelphia, making it to the NBA, I would go online and I would say, hey, grew up with him, great guy. I'm advocating for him to get put on to whatever team it may be. And I will be his advocate because I feel a connection to him. He grew up in Philly. I grew up in Philly. So we have that type of connection. At least to me, I would do that if he's a good person. Okay. If they're good people, if they're assholes and scumbuckets, it's not going to come. I'm not going to do it. But this is the argument that I've heard on the left in relation to what Trump is actually doing. And it's always, what about the Jews? What about what they've done in that? But they don't place their faith. They're not standing publicly holding and waving the flag, okay, for Israel ahead of the flag for the United States to say, vote for me, all Jews. Maybe there is some secret thing that has happened with one or two candidates. I don't know. If you got footage, you're welcome to send it to me. Email is in the description for this video and the main YouTube channel. And I would like to see it. I would listen to it. I definitely will. I would. But now Trump, in better judgment, I think this is really solid, turned around and he shut down all federal funding going to daycares in Minnesota, which is a smart thing to do. I think, and if you guys, I heard the other argument. What about the people that's not, suffering from this, blah, blah, blah. What about it? Unfortunately, it's like what I tell my kids sometimes, and this is a fact. We've seen it in school. You got bad apples that ruin the whole bunch, and that's it. Bad actors will shut down shit in a heartbeat, and this is what you're seeing. So I'm not going to say that I don't have any sympathy for them, but let's be honest. If we got bad actors and we got to shut it down, we got to shut it down. Unfortunately, that's it. Now, if you're someone that's upset about that and you feel that that's a bad move, leave your comment below. I'll definitely read it. But I do understand one thing, whether you're frustrated, whether there's single moms that need this and all of this, it goes back to your congressman, the person you put into power, the person you voted for down there in Minnesota, to appear in the Hill in D.C. and advocate for your municipality, your district, the state, the city. Guys, I find it hard to believe that they did not know this level of fraud existed. I find it hard to believe. And I know you guys don't like it, but you're dealing with pirates. You're still dealing with a culture that still has an enormous amount of piracy going on. Yeah, and it's the truth. It's the truth. It's just like any other culture, but in this case, it's not the black culture. It's the Somalian culture. Okay, and yeah, you got doctors, you've got attorneys. I've heard that argument. We've got doctors, attorneys, philosophers, teachers, people that vary. Nurses, people that have scaled to the highest levels of the American dream, okay, and whatever they perceive that to be or was told that it was. Yeah, we do have those, but guess what? The scammers came with you guys too. And if you don't clean up the scammers, somebody will, okay? And in this case, Donald Trump is cleaning up the scammers. God, I can go on and on about this. You know when you messed with Trump, when you fucked with Trump, when you messed with him prior to this 2024 election, when they dragged him, you got to know that he will drag every situation, every person connected to it, everything that could possibly be dragged. And I'm not mad at him for it. I'm really not. When you shut down money going to my business because you don't like what I say, and you don't want him to be president, and I'm saying in general myself, but if I was him and he didn't want me to be president, I would drag you. Yes. No, we're not going to play politics as usual and say, oh, let's make up and be friends. No, we're mortal enemies. You dislike me, you're evil. And I can pray for you, which a lot of Christians say, we're going to pray for it. We should be praying for it. We should be helped. I can pray for you in my prayer closet, and I can make sure that all of this fraud that you're doing comes out at the same time. I can do that because if he doesn't do it, we can bet that as from the midterm going on to the next election, 2028, if a Democrat hits that office, God, it's going to disappear. It's going to disappear like money out of your paycheck. Okay, like the cash that's paid is going to disappear just like that, and you're going to be wondering what the heck happened. But guess what? Someone else is in power now, and they don't find this to be an important thing. Just like you were just about to elect a president, a VP, Tim Walz, to be VP, and he knows this crap is going on. Matter of fact, I think he was running because he wanted to distance himself from this.
Congratulations, well done.
Go ahead, man. All I can say is, oh no, man. But this does make for good content. You're the gift that keeps giving right now, Minnesota, Somalian community, Ilhan, Omar, Tim Walz. You are. Even when the news cycle changes, we're still going to talk about this because, damn, ain't no hustler that's been put in jail. Ain't no drug dealer that's been put in jail that moved weight and trafficked people like you guys are doing there right now. I'm not. You guys are tapped so far into the federal government's pocket. I think we could possibly cover all of those people that Doge decided to lay off to cut budgets. We can bring their asses back when we get this money back. So if you don't think that that's an important thing, then hey, I'm going to leave you to your own devices.
Right-wing YouTuber Nick Shirley, who describes himself as an independent journalist, says he went to 10 child care centers receiving federal and state subsidies and did not see children at the sites. State officials say many of the centers were previously investigated and no fraud was uncovered, adding 9 of the 10 daycare centers featured in the video are still operating and receiving taxpayer subsidies.
While we have questions about some of the methods that were used in the video, we do take the concerns that the video raises about fraud very seriously.
The director of one of the daycares Shirley visits in the video speaking to NBC affiliate Care 11, saying his center is operational and that employees are now getting threats.
A lot of people are not feeling safe.
The Justice Department has been running sprawling fraud investigations across multiple social service programs in Minnesota for years, starting during the Biden administration. Some of those charged have included members of the state's large Somali community, which has led to President Trump ramping up his rhetoric.
We always take people from Somalia, places that are a disaster.
It's rhetoric when it goes against your narrative. That's it. When it goes against the narrative of of your narrative of this is racist, this is Islamic phobic. It's rhetoric, right? What he says is rhetoric because it doesn't affect your pockets and it attacks your narrative. I noticed that it's always rhetoric on mainstream media when it attacks their narrative and their positioning. Crazy.
Federal prosecutors estimate the total amount of fraud in Minnesota could top $9 billion. State officials have pushed back on that number, saying it's nowhere near that high. Peter?
Gabe, it also comes as